Hi, everyone. My name is Alex Way. I'm 16 years old from the US, and welcome to my capstone presentation regarding clean energy and climate action. But before we dive deeper into my prototype, I would first like to give you an insight on what inspired me to choose this project. So from where I come from, our community is heavily reliant on fossil fuels such as oil and natural gas. Each year, the state of Louisiana emits millions of tons of carbon dioxide alone. However, we have also experienced the brood of global warming that has resulted from excessive carbon emissions. In 2020 alone, Louisiana was hit by 6 different hurricanes due to the warming of seawater. They leveled houses, destroyed property, and took lives from all over the state. Although my family was fortunate enough to avoid the worst, there are thousands of people who cannot say the same thing. While conducting interviews, one of my most touching stories I heard was from a family in Lake Charles. In 2005, their home was completely flooded after Hurricane Rita. 15 years later, after a decade of hard work, they had finally been able to rebuild their house, only to be completely destroyed by Hurricane Laura just last year. Although it's a tough reality, this is just one of many similar stories I've heard that make up over $20 billion worth of hurricane damage from 2020. But one of the biggest themes throughout each interviewee was that people were tired of having to piece together their livelihoods each year. They were exhausted. Instead, they wanted to tackle the root of this issue instead of facing the same problems year in and year out. Now, sitting back after these interviews, it struck me that I actually already knew what the root cause was. It was our reliance on fossil fuels. The reason why hurricanes were becoming more prevalent was because excessive carbon emissions were warming the oceans. In order to stop this deadly cycle, we needed to break away from fossil fuel consumption, which led to my problem statement. As a result, I wanted to design a product that would increase the efficiency of renewable resources like solar power. That way, we could begin shifting away from fossil fuels, reduce carbon emissions, and slow down the devastating impacts of global warming. Now, that's why I would like to introduce you to SOP, or Solar Optimization Program. Now, the idea behind this program is actually fairly simple. So traditionally, solar panels are static, meaning they sit still and don't move. However, this drastically decreases their efficiency as the sun changes positions in the sky throughout the day. Instead, if a solar panel could change its tilt angle to follow the sun's trajectory, it could receive more sunlight and produce more energy. Think of it like a sunflower that reorientates its direction to continuously face the sun. I think this animation does a good job depicting what a solar panel using SOP would look like. So what the SOP does is it determines the optimal tilt angle to place a solar panel in order to maximize the sunlight it receives. This can increase the efficiency of solar production, help communities shift away from burning fossil fuels. Although the scientific part of my program is a little bit complicated, I accomplished this by essentially deriving a mathematical equation that allowed me to calculate sunlight received on a surface given a tilt angle. Then I coded it into Python in order to determine the optimal tilt angle and maximize solar radiance. So now I would like to give you a quick demonstration of the SOP in action. So once in the SOP, the user will begin by clicking Start, then entering their longitude and latitudinal coordinates into the system. I'll be using the coordinates for Baton Rouge, Louisiana. Afterwards, the SOP then prompts you to enter the day of the year, and I'll be using January 15th for this demonstration. Afterwards, as you can see, the SOP outputs 2 lists. The first list is the optimal tilt angles for your solar panel at each hour of the day. The second list then tells you the amount of energy received by the solar panel using SOP, as you can see right here. And finally, these 2 graphs down here are just visual representations for the data lists above. But the best part about the SOP is that it is completely customizable. I actually created other versions of the same program that can optimize your tilt angles daily or monthly, since this program only gives you the hourly optimal tilt angle. And thank you, past Alex. So once in the SOP. So now moving on to the results. Although I wasn't able to actually implement this program with an actual solar panel, I ran a few simulations and the results were astounding to say the least. By utilizing the SOP, solar panels that changed their tilt angles hourly were able to increase the amount of sunlight they received by over 50%. That's over 1,200 kilowatt hours annually. And here's a table showing the annual solar irradiance of an optimized solar panel in Baton Rouge. I hope by providing this program, solar energy can become more efficient and more households will be incentivized to use renewable resources like solar power. That way we can begin the arduous task of transitioning away from fossil fuels. Now, after bringing my prototype into our community, I received 2 major suggestions. The first was to allow users to input weather data, since cloud and atmospheric conditions would also impact the quality of radiation, and incorporating weather information would make the SOP much more accurate. And secondly was the implementability. For example, the solar panel would need a motor so that my program can actually be physically implemented within a solar panel. In the end, this is just one step in a continuous process aimed at increasing the efficiency of solar energy and moving away from fossil fuels. I hope you all enjoyed my presentation, and I can't wait to receive more feedback.